Hey folks, today I'm here to unbox this new Kickstarter that's just come in. It's Divide et Impera, and it's from Luis Magnus Studios. I have been waiting on this for so long. This game, it funded on February 6th, 2020. Do you have any idea all the things that have happened to me since February 2020? Like, it's a long list of stuff. And all through all the turmoil, all the weird stuff that was been going on over the past few years, in the back of my mind, this was the Kickstarter I looked forward to the most. So the premise to this game is there's been some sort of snow apocalypse, and everything's buried in snow except for the very tops of these city buildings, and you, as part of these factions, are going to be crawling into the buildings or around the buildings and gathering resources and bringing them back to the people that have become the rulers of this new world. Now, of course, the rulers are the extremely wealthy elite that had bunkers and places to go to and technology. So they're kind of helping you out, and you're bringing them materials, and they're providing you with food and some support in the form of drones and big mechanical creatures and stuff like that. So basically the game is who can gather the most resources. It's sort of an efficiency game. I can't speak too much to the gameplay or anything like that. I've watched it played a few times. I've heard a lot about it, but I've, of course, never played it. This is still in the shrink. I received it only hours ago. And let me tell you what, I bitched so much knowing that this was in the States. Like, I watched it come over on the boat because they let us know the boat numbers, and I kind of waited and guesstimated how long it would take to go through customs. And then they announced that it was shipping, and I just went nuts. Like, I have wanted this game so badly. I'm so geeked out to finally get this thing that I don't know if I can be even objective. Now, what I would like to do today is just pull it out of the box and get some first impressions and kind of look at it. I bought some other stuff too. I didn't get just this game. And what I'm thinking is maybe I might do the Kickstarter one, but I'm not going to unbox all of this. But just to show you what extra there is, there's going to be the White Death Box, which is a Kickstarter where all the Kickstarter extras go. I don't even remember what some of those are. There's a PVC resources. Now these are like little plastic versions of the resources. I might open that. We've got a couple of other characters. I think that these are sort of mercenary characters, Penny Boom and Mad and Max. Got an expansion called Cash and Rad, which has a couple, I think these are other factions. Yeah, I think it has 2 more factions. I don't remember exactly what all this adds. I'll eventually do a review on this. I'm also intending to paint this, even though the miniatures are very small. I think this is sort of in the 15 millimeter range, maybe 10 millimeter. But I'm planning on painting all this stuff, so I'll have a painted review eventually. It'll probably take me a little time to kind of get it all painted and play it enough times to really talk about it. The last expansion that I got is the old London expansion. So it's got London Bridge and Big Ben tiles and some other stuff, a couple more characters. So I'll dig into all this stuff probably second, after I've had the initial experience. But let's open up the core box and just go ahead and take a look. I've waited long enough. I want to see inside here. It is so cold here today. There's a lot of irony in the air of the coldness. And I'm so sick of hearing those smug guys in Canada talking about how they got theirs first. I know this was a cold weather preference thing. I can't prove it. I can't prove anything, but I'm pretty sure that there was some maybe some cold weather bias going on. And that's why they got theirs first. Right, so there's the front of the box. And here's the back of the box. All right. This is the miniature version. They also have a meeple version of this. Okay. All right. Let's see. So we've got some double layer player boards. And they look a little warped. Not bad. I've been hearing people talking about this, saying that they're a little warped and stuff, but they are definitely not flat. But held two against each other, you can see. You can see it's yeah, they're a little warpy. I will probably put these under Wasteland Express. Wasteland Express is a game I bought and I put all the chits and stuff where they were supposed to go, and then like never played it. And basically all I do is I use it to weigh down other things when I need them to be flat. Because it's super heavy. That and Seventh Continent. That's the best use I've found for both of those things. Alright, but here's the player boards. They look good. They're a little warpy, but I do think they look pretty good. This is interesting. It's really thin right there. Of course, that makes sense, I guess. And we've got a rule book here. Let's take a look. So, the rules start on... this is nice here in the front. Does it do the component layout? What I really like, I really love it when they lay out all the components and explain what everything is. It sort of explains the game board, which is probably important. Let's say the rules start at like page, what? Page 5, we'll say. And lots of examples, lots of big, the typeface is big enough for me to read, even though I'm kind of blind. So I'm liking all that. Okay, so this looks like we're into references, so we're at page 20. So is that 15 pages of rules? In fact, it looks like it's describing the factions a lot more. Yeah, about 15 pages or so of rules. I've actually read this rule book online. I don't know if it's the same as this one, like if the one I have is current, because I think I downloaded one pretty early on. All right, it came with some organizer bags. I really like it when they do that. I have, of course, lots and lots of options here at the house, but yeah, it came with 3 of these little bags to organize with. These are little okay, we got little faction mats. And these are, seems much thinner. Is there more than one thing here? Yeah. Right, so I think that this is your basic your scorekeeping board here. Is it the same on both sides? Seems to be the exact same on both sides. And this is, okay, this is where you'll draft cards from. You draft cards in this game to improve your faction. And I think that this is like the marketplace for that. And here... and I believe this is the mission board. So this is where you get different missions or fulfill different missions that the purebreds, that's the name of the elites that are all trapped away in their little bunkers or whatever. They dole out these missions. They take the form of objective cards. And you could get different amounts of points depending on if you do it right away or if you do it later on amongst the 4 turns that this runs for. And those are all laid out on this board here. I'm not sure if there's a difference between the two sides. It's also got some end of the game scoring along the side of this. So it's kind of, yeah. So it's sort of a reference card too. I like that. I love it when there's game helpers sort of baked into the different little components and stuff. Simon's really good about doing that. Oh my gosh. This is really cool. So in here we have some really nice reference sheets. Now I'd already printed out a PDF of this exact same thing that I'm pulling out. Or a couple of PDFs. I made a bunch of them. Yeah, I already made a bunch of player references and stuff, but it came with 4 more. And yeah, it was real thin. Some real thin cardboard. Not bad. It's not paper. It's a nice little cardboard reference, and it's a good size and stuff. Easy to read. Yeah, and it lays out a whole bunch of stuff for the game. Really good. At this point, I'm glad that anybody makes a player reference anymore. Right, so these are stickers. I believe that these are two-sided stickers. Yeah, these are two-sided stickers that we're going to use to assemble the map tiles. So there is some assembly required with this, but you're just going to be sticking cardboard together. I'm sure there's a proper way to do it, and I'm going to look that up. We'll revisit this. All right, looks like a lot of tokens. Wow, really a lot of tokens here. Okay. Oh, okay. So here are some of the map tile too. All right. All right. So some tokens here, punched out just fine. And these are, of course, the cardboard version of the resources. And any other, you know, all these other little indicators and stuff. These are for your factions. These all little tokens and stuff that you'll use for the individual factions. And here's for the drones, the little markers for the drones. A lot of them are double-sided and have a little thing, all these candies. Yeah, they have this weird little mechanism with these candies and stuff that you can get for doing different things. And on the other side of those candies, you'll get different resources or different abilities, like getting to march or move around or grapple things. All right. And next up, we have some more tokens. These are the bridges. Looks like there's some bridges for specific color different factions. Across here, we have the captains for the different factions and stuff. So this is going to go on your player board. Is going to go on your player board like so. And then you can lock in some special abilities that you can get. I think you're going to pick them out by random on here. As you take control of different areas, you can unlock these special abilities. So that's another thing, another way to kind of level up your character as you go through the game. Looks like the rest, oh, there's just one more sheet, and this is a bit thicker. Is it thicker? No, I guess not. I'm not really sure how is best. I'm not an expert or anything in judging the cardboard, but it looks pretty good quality. Like everything I just know from like King of Average videos. But I do. And I'm not sure I'm grateful or not, because he showed me a lot of things that probably I would have ignored in the past. But you know what? This is pretty tight. Looks pretty good. So here's some pieces that I guess will be glued on top, or double sticky taped on top of here. These are the rest of the map tiles. I have to say, this box, and I've heard people talking about this too, this box seems really, really thin. Like, it's a very, very thin for something that's going to hold a bunch of map tiles and stuff. And I'm looking here at what's left in the space, and it really doesn't look like there's a lot of room in here. It'll be interesting to see once I get the tiles put together how they fit. Oh, and it looks like there's even more. Okay. There's even more of it to assemble underneath here, so let's look. Oh wow, it's got... These come out? I'm kind of scared to punch anything out, but these are obviously made to come out. So these, so how many tiles are there? All right, so it seems like all of these punch out in some way on this side here. And these don't look like they do. So these must be where the base starting spot. Yeah. So those tiles will build up on here, and it creates like a small small raised area, so you get the impression that these are the buildings sticking out of the snow. It's not it's only like a piece of cardboard thickness difference. You know, so it's going to be like a really minute difference. But I think the way the artwork is on here, it'll make a huge difference. Kind of giving that impression of depth. Yeah, so here's all the different tiles, and they're labeled. I'm sure that these numbers here will match up. Hopefully, I know that there was one typo. I don't remember off the top of my head which one it was. But these are all tiles that we'll be building on. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. So you'll end up with 16 tiles. I'm going to leave this out so I can put it together. Looks like we've got some cards here. Well, these are at least the marketplace cards. There's probably other things too. But there'll be marketplace cards. There'll be, I think, some starting faction cards for each of the factions. Looks like they're definitely color-coded for different things. Probably the different bases and stuff like that. Yeah. The artwork on these cards is pretty interesting. There's a lot of old propaganda posters that it seems like that they've used for some of their pictures. Yeah, here's the drone cards and whatnot. Okay, so I'll figure out what all these mean later. Got some non-elastic rubber bands that I like to put on things to keep the cards in order. Got some little cubes. These are pretty common. A lot of different games have these little cubes. But they're translucent, which is nice. Kind of like Pandemic, I guess. And I did get the miniature version, so here are the miniatures. How many sets do we have here? Like a black. And there are different characters too. There's different people in each one. Oh wow, the drone's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So black, beige, orange, and purple little people. And we've got some drones. All on flying bases. Those two are on flying bases. Yeah. Nothing seems to be broken, so that's good. Oh boy. The inside of this box seems like it's seen better days. This is kind of smushed right through here. These things are, yeah, this is definitely this is a very cheap solution for your game storage inside of here, your insert. I'm sure people will make better ones. Oh lordy. Man, I can't wait to paint this thing. How neat. So each faction, I guess, has a drone that will end up coming into play. I don't remember if both groups get to use the drone or not. There's one of them. Let's put these bags aside. A lot of people were talking about these being broken. I bet they're talking about breaking off of these bases. Would not be surprised. This seems like it could be kind of fragile. Here's another one. And I would have liked it if they came off of these bases. It would have made it a lot easier to paint these. I can mask them off, and it's not, I guess, a huge deal, but would have saved me a step or two. And I don't know how many people paint their stuff. Maybe it's just something I always do. Seems like anytime I go to play a game and stuff, unless I'm at a convention, I don't really meet a lot of people with all of their stuff painted. This one is a lot bigger than it looked in the pictures. Like I'm genuinely surprised at the size of some of these things. But it's pretty cool looking. It's a neat miniature. I'm excited to see what they look like on the table. All right, and here's the last one of those drones. Very much looks like a gunship, which I believe this one is. A gunship looking drone. Alright, so let's take a look at, I'm trying to figure out who would be the easiest to see. Now these are all a little different, and I'll do some super close-ups of every single one of these once I have them painted. Pre-painted, I kind of wonder why bother, you know. They're not quite as small as I thought I feared they might be. So here's the leader. It's about as close as I can get. And it's still kind of come into focus. And here is one of the other folks. All the rest look like this one here. I think these are kind of hard to distinguish from one another, especially being the same color. Maybe painted up, this will be a little bit easier, and I'll have to get creative for how I keep the color. Maybe I'll keep their ring, the color of this plastic or something, but kind of hard to differentiate the two. I would have liked to have seen maybe the leader be a little bit bigger or something like that, or maybe a different shape to the base or something like that. There's probably a couple of different ways that could have differentiated those. And that is an unboxing right off the shelf, right out of the mail of D.E.I et Impera. But let's take a look at the Kickstarter box also while I'm running through things. When I originally went to make this video, I told myself I was just going to unbox this part. But I think most folks that are waiting on this, or maybe looking to get one of these anytime soon, will probably be looking to pick up a Kickstarter pledge that they missed from before. And if that's the case, then you want to get this also. This expands on the factions. It adds some weather cards, which is kind of a random event sort of thing that'll happen from turn to turn. And it's got the Automa mode, so you can play solo. The little solo mode is baked into this as well. But let's take a look inside of the White Death box. White Death! Alright, we got some rules. That's expected. As expected. Some rules and a description of the different things that are in here. Looks like the rules start right away on page 2. And they go... so you got about another 20 odd pages of rules here. Not terrible. They've added another, okay, we got another, looks like another section of cards. That must expand on the marketplace a little bit, maybe. Looks like a player board, a different type of player board. This might be the solo player board. I think when you play, they have something called the fawn, which I guess are, yeah, they have hoof feet, so it's like fawns, like in the fantasy stuff. Their hoof feet and their big pointy ears and stuff. Looks like horns too. So if you play solo, you have to have them included. So this probably is a solo board, although I haven't read all the rules for it yet. I've only read the Divide et Impera rules. I have not read. I have not looked yet at the rules for the expansion stuff. Got another punch board. Some more people on it. We got a punch board that's just went ahead and punched itself to some degree. Oh, interesting. Got a little dual layer board here for the fawns. I guess that's where those were. We have some more cards. These are, unfortunately, I can't talk a whole lot about what these are. I'm sure some of these are starting cards for the other factions that come in this box. They're color coded that way, and they have these icons on them. I'm sure indicate that they're from the different factions here. The big bear. And probably more, oh, this is definitely the Automa. It looks like it sort of like works like Wingspan and some of these other solo mode things. Definitely an Automa deck. I know an Automa deck when I see one. And here's, I think this had a group of psychers, like psychic folks. It looks like their cards. And the Fauna's cards. They have some crazy big idol thing. We're going to see that in a second. And these are the weather cards that you'll pull. So I guess every round you can pull one of these cards and it'll have a different kind of sort of disastrous weather problem. And a couple of wanted posters. I'm not sure what that's all about. So I'm going to keep these all together the best I can and set them aside. And quite a bit of plastic here. Here's the one I was most curious about. This looks to be like some sort of big sled or something that they're carrying around, some idol. Really neat. I'm excited to paint some of these things. I really love the universe that they've created. And this guy, which looks a lot like Ripley at the end of Alien 2, or Aliens 2, Aliens. And again, they're on these clear bases, which is really neat. Like I've started to put clear bases on all my miniatures. And it's really cool, except that I'm going to have to mask all of this in order to paint this thing. And here we have some sort of futuristic snowplow. It's pretty neat. And this looks to be some sort of large turret or something. Very cool. We got some little blue people here. I think these are the psychic people. Seem to be color coded that way. And we've got these characters. I'm not sure exactly what these all are, but they do all appear to be different. So this is this little faction or whatever they are. They're all unique. Now this faction is the Fawns, and it looks like there are a number of repeats. These little dudes with the hatchet of some sort. Pretty cool. This last one I was pretty excited about. It's like a faction with animals and stuff. So we've got all these, I assume they're wolves. They could be wolves or dogs of some sort. Whole bunch of those, and there's a bear. Try to get the exposure right where you can see it. It's pretty cool. A war bear of some sort. Itty bitty tiny little things. And there's the leader with their dog and stuff. Pretty cool. And that's it for the White Death box. It says 100 PVC resources. So what they're going to do is they're going to replace some of those cardboard tokens we were looking at earlier. I don't know if I'll paint these or not. I have gotten PVC resources before and thought that the tokens ended up looking better. That's happened to me before. Sometimes what I'll do too is I'll just kind of like, I'll prime these and I'll prime them in whatever color they're supposed to be, and I'll give them like a wash. I'll just throw like some Nolan oil on there or some sort of ink wash. You can even prime them white or cream colored and then give them an ink wash or like a contrast paint wash with whatever color that they're supposed to be. And you'll get a lot more realistic, interesting looking version of this stuff, which might make them look better. I'm just going to pull out a couple of each kind. There's only 2 different kinds of resources apparently. And here they are up close. It's a little bit overexposed by the way my light is here. Seem really simple. Just little simple 3-dimensional objects. You got a little cone here, a little triangular cone, and you've got a little cube here. I believe one of these represents batteries or something, and the other one is some other crates of supplies. God knows what all they pulled out of those buildings. Alright, so I'm partway into the assembly for these tiles, and I just kind of wanted to describe what this is like. So there's a stack here of the tiles. These are the base, and then what you're going to see is that they'll have little numbers. They also have this icon to indicate, kind of give you a clue when you stick something else on that'll continue. You'll see that continue on. But you'll see these kind of dark shapes because they're shaded to kind of make them stand out a little bit more and make them look even more 3-dimensional. But they're labeled. You'll see it labeled there. You'll see it labeled here. And then they have these little circles on the back. Now these are suggested areas for their double-sided adhesive, which are these little round pieces of tape. And what you'll do is you'll just stick those on. You don't have to be exact here. I think that's just basically a suggestion. They're like the pirate code. They're more guidelines than actual rules. And then you kind of rubber it down. Get it the best you can there. Then just start picking at it and you can peel it off. This peels off really easy. It goes on really easy. And then we're just going to kind of match the shape here. And I like to just kind of hold my fingers on the side and make sure that these sides line up, because I want these sides to be really crisp as they make their transition to the next. And really getting those lined up automatically lines it up on here too. Look at that. Doesn't take much. Now some of these will have 2 stacks, and I haven't gone all the way through these stacks to find the other 2,4A. Where is it? I bet it's one of these. Yep, so here's the 2,4A. You'll see that little circle with a B on it. It's all the way at the top. And that's going to get a couple of stickers on it, and then that's going to go like that. And so without using a lot of cardboard or without some like really large 3D stuff, they definitely have that 3D effect that they get by placing these little pieces of cardboard in combination with all the shading and stuff that they've done. Now the assembly for this, I've only made about 4 of them, but it's been a little slow going. Not just because there's, especially early on, there's a lot of these to look through. These things look super, super cool. This feels like these boards, they seem a lot sturdier than even the player boards for some reason. And I'm really happy with these tiles. I think they look really, really neat. What a subtle effect. I would definitely say set aside an hour or two, maybe watch something on Netflix, and it'll be a while to get through all these. All right, here is a look at it out on the table. I've got it set up for a 2-player game, so I could go ahead and play this and test it out. I'm not 100% sure about a couple of the different rules and things. It is interesting. We've got our faction boards. These are randomly chosen as you take over bases. As you put in your little cubes in here for bases that you've taken over, you'll get to flip these over and sort of augment your special powers. Something else to note about this game is that it's language independent. It relies on a lot of iconography and stuff to make this more accessible to more people. And that way they only have to change, maybe the rule book. And the icons are basically the same across the board, no matter what language edition that they make. It has a really, really nice table presence. I love the effect here of the snow-covered buildings and stuff, or the whole city being kind of covered in the snow. It's a real easy setup. Everything is pretty simple and straightforward. So over here we have the marketplace for all the different cards that you can draft. We've got your little things that you need to accomplish over here, basically objectives and stuff. A scoreboard. We got the individual players and their boards and stuff, and then the central board here. I sort of wondered if getting the miniature version was worth it, but they did a great job. Like these are very small, but the detail in them are pretty nice. They of course are not going to look as cool as like the 20 millimeter or 28 millimeter stuff that I normally paint, but I think that I can paint these and make them look pretty neat. Even just giving them a prime or something would look really cool. And I love the effect of this board and how modular it is. So you can take this and change it a bunch of different ways. There's a couple of rules for how this goes together, but you could easily change things around and change the way the game works. Pretty cool. I think that in itself could give it a lot of replayability and make sure that it's not the same game every time. But I've yet to play a game. So I'll have to play this and get back to you. The setup for it was really easy. And I'm right into the game rules. I'm rereading the rule book, and it's written a little bit differently. I don't have an opinion on this rule book yet, but it's written a little bit differently than I'm used to seeing, and it's working okay. But I guess we'll see once I actually try to play the game if I'm able to grasp the way they've laid it out here. There's lots of references and stuff, so I can easily interpret what all these means. Hopefully this iconography is real consistent and stuff. I've seen that happen too, where something will be iconography based and yet the icons aren't consistent in what they mean, and that's very frustrating. But maybe they'll do a good job with this. I did notice at the end here, there's no index. There is a glossary, so there's a glossary of terms. If something comes up and you're not sure what it means, but there isn't really an index of any sort. So, and there's no cheat sheet on the back. I usually like if there's a cheat sheet on the back, but they did, of course, provide more of those. And here's like the two-player setup rules, or the two-player board. Like this is a suggested maybe first board that you do if you're doing 2-player and 3-player and so on. And there's lots of alternatives and stuff. They list all kinds of different ways to do this. I'm excited. I'm excited to dig into this. I feel like I'll have to play this game a few times to really decide the best way to organize the game. For now, I'm putting the components that are relative to the different box sets that they came in together just to help keep them organized. And I just sort of just did it whatever the most logical way was. I've seen online, and I haven't unboxed my other ones yet to see how I'll need to organize everything, but I've seen online where people have gone in and used these other boxes to hold maybe the bigger items, maybe to put big things in some of these other chunky boxes that have more room in them. The base box itself really didn't end up having a lot of extra room, and I experimented a little bit with the tiles and the way they go in. In retrospect, what I would do with these tiles is, if you look on the back, it says 2 plus, 3 plus, and 4 plus to determine the amount of players. I'd go ahead and arrange them by that, like put all the 2s and 3s and 4s together, and it'll make it easier to kind of set up for a smaller game. Everything else that kind of fit in there, I kind of carefully put all the drones in a way. They seem to fit in that one compartment. And most of the little miniatures all fit in that little middle compartment. But everything was really pretty tight overall. And I'm not sure if I've overbagged maybe the different elements and stuff. I tried to make it real easy for different setups and stuff, but I'm not completely certain if I've bagged it in the most efficient way possible. I also made my own little player aids too, which kind of added maybe just a little bit to the size. It was sort of chunky, squishy, did not close 100% of the way, but it was very close. In fact, I bet if those boards were super flat, then it would close up just fine. I rotated it around, everything stayed in place, so I think I could store it in any configuration, and I guess time will tell if I need to organize it further. I'll be back real soon to let you know what I think of this game. I'm super excited for it to finally get there. I'm sorry if I was a pain in the ass in the comments. I regret nothing. I've been very passionate about this game, very excited to finally see it out, and I look forward to talking about it more with you. On the way out, if you wouldn't mind, click that subscribe button. I'd love to see you again. Or maybe click like or leave a comment and let me know if you've been looking forward to this game as much as me. Till next time, enjoy your games, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.